We do have breaking news right now. A flight from Dallas had to be quarantined in Nashville after a passenger became sick on flight. News Channel 5's Cuthbert Langley joins us live from Nashville International Airport. And Cuthbert, the fact that this flight came from Dallas had a lot of people concerned that it somehow could be connected to the Ebola cases out of Texas.
It did, Amy, especially now that there are 2 confirmed cases of the Ebola virus in Texas. Officials say they just had to take all of the precautions necessary to make sure there was no threat here to Nashville, and there is not one this morning. Metro public health officials say the person taken off the plane this morning has no chance of having the Ebola virus. Here's what we know. This is American Airlines flight 1676. You can see a picture from inside the plane there when this plane was quarantined. It landed around 11:40, and passengers tell me the plane taxied to a remote area where nobody was allowed off the plane. Passengers, though, tell me they didn't see any hazmat teams there. All they saw was just maybe a doctor coming on at the back of the plane to take care of that patient who was then removed from the plane. And you can see from the video there that the passengers were allowed to get off the plane around 3 o'clock this morning. And while they were quarantined for close to 3 hours, most passengers say those precautions were necessary.
It's just a few hours. In the larger scheme, it could have been much worse, right? So, I mean, as long as we're trying to keep people's lives together, healthy and safe, I think that a few hours isn't too much.
Now, that passenger was taken off the plane and taken to Vanderbilt Medical Center this morning. Again, we heard from Metro public health officials, and here's what they had to say about the threat of that person having Ebola. They said, quote, "We have been advised that the person who had the medical issue had no history of contact with anyone with Ebola in Dallas and had no travel history to Africa. There is no concern that this individual has Ebola, and there is no risk to other passengers on the plane." So again, you can see behind me right now that traffic is back to normal here at the airport. There are no delays because of this incident. It's completely cleared, and we can say this morning that that passenger did not have the Ebola virus. Of course, just given the outbreak happening in Texas and over there in West Africa, you just can't be too cautious, and that's what happened here this morning. Reporting live at the Nashville International Airport, I'm Cuthbert Langley, News Channel 5 HD.
So glad it ended. All right, Cuthbert, thank you. And this makes 2 mid-state Ebola scares in just the last 48 hours. First responders in hazmat suits quarantined a Mount Juliet gas station late Saturday night. A woman at the MAPCO on Lebanon Road said she'd been in contact with someone who had Ebola, and she was starting to show symptoms. Wilson County took no chances and responded in full protective gear. Wasn't until a few hours later that officials were able to confirm she was not infected with the deadly disease. We're told the woman thought that she had contracted Ebola while cleaning a home for someone who recently traveled to West Africa. You know, people have a lot of questions about how Ebola is transmitted. According to the CDC, you won't get it from casual contact. It can be transmitted through body fluids like blood, vomit, or feces. However, it has to get inside the body to infect. So either the nose, mouth, eyes, a cut, maybe a needle stick, but it will not just soak through the skin. Health professionals are those at the highest risk since they're most likely to come into contact with an infected person's blood or body fluids. So stay tuned on this. We're going to have more on the Ebola and the national response to the outbreak a little bit later in the hour. We now know a tornado touched down in Hickman County. It left a path of damage and debris for nearly 2 miles. The National Weather Service confirmed Friday night storm was actually an EF1 tornado packing 100-mile-per-hour winds. Several homes in the area were damaged, most of them belonging to one family. The Gossets have been in the area for years. They say they face some strong storms, but nothing like this.
Everybody in my family, everybody was accounted for and healthy and happy, you know.
Volunteers, friends, and family are helping the Gossets get back on their feet. Happening now, Clarksville police are investigating a shooting that left 1 man injured. Happened overnight on Daniel Street. By the time those first responders arrived, the victim had already made it to the hospital. We're told his injuries are not life-threatening, and we're working with police to get more information about any possible suspects or motive.